Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. Sulman Rahim here, Messenger of the Covenant, breaker of the seven seals. Wartime, brothers and sisters. Wartime. Our topic today will be power and death, death and power. Now, what is that all about? Death and power. Well, those are the two primary things that life is all about. Death is definitely part of life, and how you go through life. That determines how much power you have, how you go through life. Excuse me. So we're going to try to explain those two concepts because they're very simple, no matter how complicated they seem to try to make it for you. First, all this is to bring home this message about abomination of desolation. It's all about death and power. When you boil it all down, it's all about death and power. How you use your power. The nature of your death. Timeliness of your death. That's totally controlled by you, brothers and sisters. Don't let anyone fool you. Mystery God determine how long you live or how long you die. It's all up to you. All up to you. All up to you. Even if you murdered, you brought that upon yourself. Somehow, it's a consequence of some action. There's no action that is not a consequence of some other action. If you understand that, then that means your death was caused by some action of yours. We don't believe in mystery gods and all the stuff Farrakhan's trying to push down your throat, and the Sunniism stuff, Christianity stuff, all this mystery stuff. No, we turn the lights on and pull you out of that if you're willing to come out. We're not going to force you out. If you're willing, then we're able. If you're willing, we're able. Because many of you are stuck in a gravitational vortex. And I'm going to explain that more distinctly in the near future. I have some things out now. I'm going to actually talk about that in more detail in the near future. Right now, I'm going to focus on death and power. So let's move on. Okay, death. Now, death is a very simple complex, no matter how confused they try to make it. Everything is pressure. Everything is pressure. Pressure is just energy dispersed. It's just energy. That's what pressure is. And you start giving it form. Giving it form is pressure. So, you are pressure. Your whole system is operated based on pressure. Heart beating, that's pressure. Lungs, so forth, so on. Even reproduction system, all of it. There's no part of you that is not aspect of pressure. Whole universe. So anyway, you are the embodiment of a certain amount of pressure. And your environment is pressure that's pressing upon you. And those pressures have to be equal, or the inner pressure, you're the inner pressure, and your environment is your outer pressure. Okay? So your inner pressure must, at least at minimum, balance your outer pressure. At minimum. Because if your outer pressure becomes greater than your inner pressure, then you're being crushed. You're being crushed out of existence. See? One aspect of that is anxiety, depression, the word is built in. Ultimately, death. Be quick, slow as in the case of depression until you heart attack or commit suicide or you just die. So the outer pressure is greater than your inner pressure, then you're crushed out of existence depending on the differential there. And the nature of it depends on your structure. So say you have a strong structure, right, but a weak heart, right, then boom, then it heart attack. That's the way it works. Period. And we have a protection against that is the 5 fundamental pillars of Islam, because by using those effectively, you control, right, your life expectancy. You hold back death. You hold it back. But death is not a bad thing, because you want to renew yourself. You wouldn't want to live forever in this body you are in now. You want to refresh it, because the body will wear and tear over time. Everything would change. People would change, right? Times will change. The wisdom and understanding of the times will change. The mathematics will change. So therefore, you have to keep up with that. You have to have a new model. And I know you say, oh, Elijah Muhammad said, we only live one life. He was reading from Escalades, and that refers to the devils, doesn't refer to us. The Quran tells you, take 4 birds, teach them to climb to you, right? And call them, they come to you flying. Those 4, what's that? You get two sets of chromosomes from your mother, 2 sets from your father, right? Once you learn to understand, got the mathematics behind it, right? Then you bring them together. That was the purpose of arranged marriages, not forced arranged marriages. This was a mutual thing, because people looked at it and said, okay, if we do it this way, it benefits me and benefits you. Anyway, that's another story. But that's death, period. You control it. That's death, period. Okay. Next one is power. Second brown sister. Power. Notes here. Okay. Power. You have internal energy, have external energy. We all receive the same amount of energy every day. We all receive the same amount of energy every day. daily. But you have internal energy and external energy. Power comes from your external energy. It's like you have to have so much energy to maintain your structure, your inner structure. Now, if you need 1,000 units of energy every day to maintain your internal structure, but you're only getting 500, then you're suffering energy deprivation because you don't have enough energy to maintain yourself. So you have no external energy. You have none. But if you get 1,000 per day and you only need 500, then you got 500 external energy, and that's the source of your power. It's external, it's not power yet. You have to transform it into power, but it's where power comes from, your external energy. Okay? So for the last 500 years, we had no external energy. We didn't have enough energy to maintain our internal selves because we like Lamborghinis, and the devils, they're like Volkswagen Beetles, so they had enough energy to maintain themselves and had disposable income, so to speak. We had none. So we had no power because you have to have external energy to have power. Now you can force external energy at the cost of your internal energy. That means if you live a beast life and neglect yourself, right, then you're going to ruin yourself, you're going to age yourself because you're not using that energy to maintain yourself. So you're using that energy to gain power. In other words, if you require 500 per day, 1,000 per day, and you only get 500, right? So instead of taking that 500 and using the best you can, maybe you only use 100. So now you eating swine, you do all kinds of things, and you suffering. Your body's really suffering because you need you need what I said, you need 1,000. You're only getting 500, right? So you're only using 1/10 of the energy you need to maintain yourself. So you're doing all kinds of stuff you ain't got no business doing. You're ruining your health. But now you got 400 units of external energy. Now you got some power, okay, at the cost of destroying your health, destroying yourself. And that's one of the problems that people are being involved in right now. That's one of the afflictions that our people are suffering from right now. Okay, let's move on. Okay. Hold on a second here, brothers and sisters. I'm going back and forth. I have a few notes here I want to look at. Okay, internal energy, which I was just speaking about. Internal energy. That's the energy you require to maintain yourself. Now, if you abuse it, that's another issue. But that internal energy, because it's two aspects of energy in your life: internal energy and external energy. And your body requires so much energy. And a fact that they don't tell you whether they know it or not is that we all get the same amount of energy per day. Once you understand that concept, lights come on because they make you think that, oh no, some people have more energy than others. No, we all have the same amount. It's how it's used, it's the quality of it. It's the quality of it, not the quantity. We'll have the same amount. See, that's mathematics, and God is just. So internal energy is how much energy you need to maintain yourself, how much you're using to maintain yourself. That's another way of looking at it. That's how much you need. How much are you actually using? That's internal energy. Okay, internal. Okay. Energy deprivation. And that's what I was just talking about just now. Is that, see here? This person only have half as much energy to maintain stuff. They have only half as much. So it's energy deprivation. So it has no power if he's using all, if he's taking all energy he has and using it properly, then he has no power and he doesn't have enough energy to maintain himself. That means he has no control of anything because he doesn't have full control of himself. Because you need energy to control yourself. You need energy for everything. You need energy to blink your eyes, energy your heart to beat, whatever. So that person doesn't have enough. We suffered that condition for 50,000 years. We just start coming out of that condition in 1948. 1948, we officially not suffered energy deprivation anymore. Okay? But many of us are suffering self-imposed energy deprivation, right? Because they're misusing the energy. Okay? Because they're taking the energy that they should be taking. In other words, you get 1,000 units per day, you require 1,000 units per day. But you're only using 700 for your requirements. That means you got 300 for power, but you're suffering because you're not maintaining yourself properly. Anyone who has a car knows if you don't maintain it, it's going to fall apart. And that's why many of our people are falling apart because they've been told by massa to do things that's against themselves, eat bad food, all this fornication and all this other stuff they're doing, drugs, and so they poison themselves. Okay, you feel tired, take instant energy and all this stuff. So they're destroying themselves, trying to keep up with massa. That's internal energy. That person suffering energy deprivation, that's us. Okay, here. External energy. Now that's the energy you have after you've used it, after what you left from your internal. So it's either two ways there. In other words, now you have enough energy. Say for instance, you get 1,000 units, you get 1,500 units of energy per day, right? And you're using 1,000. That's how much you require. Then you got 500 extra. That's your external energy. But again, remember, you require 1,000, you get 1,500. But you still abuse yourself and don't use 500 for maintenance. Now you got 1,000 used for power, but you only got 5 for maintenance. That means your body is your self-destruct, you're destroying your body. But you got power. You can have power. Let me back off on that one. You have external energy. Having external energy don't mean you'll have power. So, maybe I didn't say that earlier. External energy does not necessarily dictate power. It just means you have this money and you can be abusing it. You can be using it wisely or use it foolishly. Use it wisely, you can use it to affect things, gain power. But if you use it foolishly, you're just wasting it. So external energy is the energy you use after you use all the energy that you determine you want to use internally. So if you're a wise person, you would take and make sure you finish all your internal requirements first, and then what's left, right? Use it. That's the external energy. But if you're a foolish person, then you worry about your external energy first, and then you abuse yourself. So you don't have it. Then what's left? Then you use that for maintenance. Now you're sick, you're unhealthy, and everything else. Because you're going after external, the American dream, and all this other BS. You're going after that, and neglecting your body. Now, power. You have to have external energy to have power. So what happens is that you convert external energy to power. You have to have a method to do that. It's like you have money, but I don't know how to invest it. I don't know what to do with it. So it's just laying there. And that's where the 5 fundamental pillars of Islam comes in, plus the INJIL, or the scripture of the time. the times change and scripture change to fit that time, like season change. You can't use the same scripture for winter that's used in spring, nor in fall or summer was used in winter, or so forth. You can't, because so times change, and we have 4 major seasons every 25,000 years, each 6,000 year period. So 6,000, 4 times 6, 24,000. So we have major, but we'll have periods within that. And so we give a scripture for any specific change or profound change, right? So that people would know how to transform their external energy to power for that time period. You can be the strongest person in the world. You got muscles, you could be the Hulk. And then winter comes, you're not prepared for it, you're going to freeze to death. You need the guidance. Okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. I need to wear this, I need to build this house, I need some heat. See, you need the guidance to turn that energy into power. So the guidance now is the INJIL. The guidance 1400 years ago was the Quran. And it's usually given, in the last 6,000 years, it's been given to different nations. Before that, it was just us, because it was just guidance for us, because we was only 3 tribes, it was all original. But because we suffer energy deprivation, we allow Dr. Yakub to bring in this being, the form a stripped down version of us, right? That didn't require as much energy as we did, so they wasn't suffering energy deprivation. Then they had to be given guidance to turn that energy into power. If they followed that guidance, they would gain and maintain power. But they didn't. They kept falling, right? They call that wickedness, unrighteousness. Because why righteousness? Because you're not doing it the right way. You're not doing it the right way. That way you don't have a power. If you're unrighteous, that means if you're not operating your car the right way, you're operating unrighteously. So therefore it's going to fall apart. That's where the term righteous, unrighteous come from. So they wasn't acting righteously, you understand, to maintain power, to gain and maintain power. The righteous always, they act righteously according to the times, so they obtain and maintain power. Obtain and maintain it. That's why the Europeans, from history, most general people know, they had the power for 500 years after the problem when Jesus left. They overtook the Roman Empire, the greatest empire in Europe at the time. And then they started worshiping idols and the Pope and all that stuff. They lost their power because they didn't follow the guidance they was given. So they lost their power for 1,000 years. At that time, you had the Arabs, right, who had energy, and the Quran gave them how to use the energy to turn into power. And so they kept that for 1,000 years. They started fading away, and they lost their power. And then the Europeans returned back to back to what they thought was Jesus' teaching. They went from Catholicism to Christianity. It's not the same thing. You may think it is, it's not. See, so they stopped worshiping idols, stopped worshiping the Pope and some other things, right? And they gained their power back, and they've maintained that power for 500 years. Now they're losing it again. They embrace homosexuality and all this other stuff they're doing. Now they're losing again. So the angel right now is telling our people how to, because now we have energy. Now we have it. Now we can have real power, because some of us forced power, like I said, trying to keep up with massa, keep up with the devil. So they was abusing themselves to gain power. But now you don't have to do that anymore. But some are still doing it. So now we have energy, and we can, but we follow energy that tells us how to transform it into power. Now let me clear up something. See, those demons demons, no, they're just, what's the difference between the devil and demons? Nothing except the skin color. The thing is that the kind of power they was gaining was the power they was getting from the sealed Bible, because they was following after Massa. So Massa could eat pork and all that kind of stuff, wasn't bothering them, because Volkswagen Beetle, you can put any kind of gas in there, but you better not try to put that in a Lamborghini. You're going to tear it up. That's why people are suffering hypertension, all these diabetes, and all these problems, because they're trying to follow after Master. See? To gain power, That's destructive power. So that's power. And the angel is telling us, fallen angel tells us how to transform the energy. We have it now. Transform it into power. Angel and the five fundamental those Islam. Because not only do you have to have power, you have to be directed. Just having power is like an elephant just standing there. How do you direct what I do with this power? Because you could turn it against yourself. So that's the guidance. The angel gives you all that guidance. It gives you the direction, how to maintain power, how to direct it. So you will be successful. As Master Prophet Muhammad said, if you wish to be successful, learn the mathematical language. I'm trying to teach it to you. Boom. External pressure. Remember I said the environment around you? The environment around you, that's external pressure. The pressure that's bearing on you. That pressure is from other people, other nations, the atmosphere, or anything outside of you is putting pressure on you. Your children, everybody around you is putting pressure on you. Anything that's growing is putting pressure on you. That's external pressure. And it's mental. Because your mind, your mind's pressure. Your thought is pressure. If the thoughts around you are greater than your thoughts, then they're questioning your thoughts. Question you out of existence. Because you don't have the mental ability, right, to maintain, because your pressure is controlled here. So if you don't have the ability to control your pressure here, then you're going to be crushed out of existence. It all comes from your brain, your mind, your thoughts. So in their thoughts, they're telling you, oh, you don't need to do this, man. You eat pork and everything else. Okay, then that means, and your mind is weak enough and can't see through that. That means then they're crushing you. Because their thoughts are more powerful than yours, because your thoughts can't overcome their thoughts. So they've been telling us for 400 some years all these lies and everything. We've been believing it because their thoughts have been overpowering our thoughts and leading us to destruction. Your thoughts must be greater than their thoughts. It all comes down to thoughts in the end. See? Because that's what the pressure's on you. When it comes down to the end, it's all on your mind. Your mind is no longer able to deal. Remember, your thoughts are pressure. When they're no longer able, right, to deal with the pressure, the thoughts around you, then you're crushed out of existence. That's what it comes down to. I know maybe you might understand that. That's what comes down as a mental war. It's always been a mental war since our beginning, right? Because we're the ones that, with God's universe, because of thought. So it's the most powerful force in the universe, thought. Anyway, so then you do on external pressure. Now the external pressure, right? I mean, if you got if you got power, and your power, the pressure of your power, remember, that's still pressure. So you want that always to be greater than the external pressure. That means the greater it is, the more successful you'll be. Because greater pressure expels weaker pressure. So the greater your internal pressure is, the more successful you'll be, because you're going to force external pressure away from around you. So you're growing. In other words, you're growing. If your internal pressure is greater than external pressure, then you're growing. If your external pressure is greater than your internal pressure, then you're shrinking, you're being crushed. If they're equal, then you're not going anywhere. You're not successful, you're not failing, you're just there. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Death. Death only comes when the external pressure becomes greater than your internal pressure. When that happens, that's it. Crushed out of existence. Crushed out of existence. Like KB, when they're crushed out of existence, they don't come back again. Because their structure cannot withstand. It cannot withstand this pressure, and our existence we get stronger with pressure. Like diamonds, you put coal on the diamond, put coal under a lot of pressure, turns to diamonds. We get better, but they have a limited structure which does not adjust to pressure. So therefore, they only had 6,000 years, and then the pressure will be, the external pressure will be greater. You see it right now, they're being crushed. Everything they're doing, all this society, everything they're doing, all the institution, everything's under pressure is crushing because they can't come up with any ideas that will offset it. They can't think their way out of it. It's too great. It's too much for them. Internal pressure, internal structure. Again, right? There's internal structure, but here's someone has enough energy for the internal structure, right? And they have external energy because energy is extended outwards. So now they have enough to maintain self internally and enough externally. No power, but they have the energy. See, the Europeans, when they was in Dark Age for 1,000 years, they had the energy. They just had no power because they weren't following the guidance that was given to them. As the Quran told them, follow this guidance. They didn't follow it, so therefore they lost their power. They still had energy, but no power. They then started regaining their powers. They turned back to the guidance. Then their power came back to them. You hear these stories of Christians all the time. Oh man, I was drunk. I was a hooker. Man, I was on drugs, and I turned back to Jesus and all my time. And that's true. Those things are happening to them because they stopped in the way that lifestyle, and now because they have energy. They have more than we do. Exposable energy. They have as much. Well, we have the same amount of energy, but they have more external energy than we do because they don't need that much internally. So those things are true. And even black folks, they can get power by doing the same thing, but that's the power. That's not the power of the angel. See, that's a power, but it's not a power. It's powerful that you will get from the angel. But they're like they're turning life around. How they turn around? They ain't say you hear anybody say, "Man, I was doing good and I was wealthy and everything, and I started drinking and smoking and everything. I got more powerful." No, it's the other way around. When they start doing that, their power goes away. I'm trying to get you to understand, brothers and sisters. 5 mathematical pillars of Islam, that's us with no power, just enough energy to maintain ourselves. See? But the 5 pillars of mathematical pillars of Islam, at that point, if we have enough energy to maintain ourselves, but we don't have enough energy or power, we still live a healthy life until we get to the point we have power. Because energy increases every 50 years, called jubilees. All the energy out in the universe is coming back now. Universe came to full extension. When it expands, contracts. When it expands, all the energy is going out there to make the stars, and all that energy out there used to be here. Just imagine how much energy we had at that time. So now it's coming back in waves, as the Quran says. It's momentous in the heaven and earth, but it comes to you but of a sudden. So that's come back in waves of 50 years. And the first positive wave we got was in the 1860s. That broke our physical chains. Then next one, about 20 years later, we started breaking our mental chains, right? With Marcus Garvey, Master Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad. Then 50 years later, right? Then we had a so-called civil rights movement, all that activity. Social start breaking our social changes. So now we're 50 years later, and we're about to break all chains. Hope you understand, bro. It's mathematics right there. Just check it. You don't have to take my word for it. Google it. It's 50-year periods. Dramatic changes went in the so-called black community every 50 years, starting from 1860s. Even music. When the first blues came out, 1860s. Jazz in the 20s, 10s and 20s, right? Motown, 60s. 100 years later, 50, right? And now we're due for a new type of music. I've been telling you about it. It's going to come out pretty soon. Somebody's going to break through with it because the music reflects our state. And now we're about to go home. So that joy and happiness is going to be reflecting this music. It's going to be such beautiful music. It's going to be inspiring music. See, we had the blues first because with the blues, we know what to do. Chains were broken. We know what to do. So we had the blues. We had the blues. That it was reflecting our nature, reflecting our emotion. And then in the 20s, we start getting jazzy. See, we start hearing about Marcus Garvey, return back to Africa, start, all kind of stuff like that that we had no idea about. Hearing about Master Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, that kind of talk. Start getting jazzy. See? And then in the 60s, right? Start getting aggressive. See? And you start feeling yourself, right? Start, hey, afros, and I'm black and I'm proud. Just Google it, Bones. This is how I make this. Everything we say here is factual. And so now you got a whole different thing because you got people now. The whole people thinking different now. But that gets back to the demons and the saints. I don't want to go into that right here because you always got the two conflicts between the two because they experiencing the same thing for different reasons. Okay, so let's move to the next one. External pressure. So you got the two external pressure against your power. Which one is going to win? That's the war that's going on right now. That's the war Master Muhammad is working on right now. He's working on getting ready to destroy the root of that external pressure, the God of it. Because you got the two gods. See, two contrary. Master Muhammad going up against Satan. That's why Satan fall from heaven like a lightning bolt. You ready to take him out because they're the source of all the resistant, opposing external forces. If you take it out, remember I said if your external pressure is equal to your internal pressure, you're not going anywhere. Right now, we're not going anywhere. Because now we're coming out of energy deprivation. Now some of us starting to build pressure, starting to build power, where we got this external force, see, 8 billion strong. See, Suleiman is the only one on the planet, right, that represents the righteous force, the angel force, the mathematical force. But you got 8 billion people that's not thinking mathematically, that's totally in resistance to that. So you got the one beam of light against 8 billion beams of darkness. If you want to call it that. And they're all dark because not mathematical. And it's all the root of it, the force of it, the foundation of it is false Israel over there that's pretending that they're the light. That's another story, brothers and sisters. But that's what it's all about. That's the abomination of desolation. Because when he takes that down, everything's going to change. In other words, you got two people pushing against each other. The Hulk and the Hulk, they're both pushing against each other. No, they're both powerful, but no one's going anywhere because both of their forces are equal. But if you move one, they're super powerful. In other words, if you're running 50 miles an hour, but you got a 50-mile-an-hour headwind, you're not going anywhere. But you moving, you pushing, you really pushing. But you running hard as hell, but you're not going anywhere. But if somebody move that 50-mile-an-hour headwind, and we got, that's what's happening over there. The headwind falls to Israel. They control this whole affair, and when they're snatched out, then bam, we start expanding. We come together. All our energy it turns into power. Brothers and sisters, that happens in an instant. It's like light. How fast does light travel? 186,000 miles per second. How fast does it take to turn energy into power? Once you understand, it takes no time. So I said, will nature be born overnight, in one day? External pressure. If you have no power, then all you got that pressure on you. All you got is your internal pressure to withstand it. If that's not enough, you're crushed. And Master Muhammad is getting ready to take out the source of that external pressure. That's the black. He's about to take this, about to remove the source of that external pressure. It's like you got two cars facing each other, both of them going 100 miles an hour, right? So they're moving. See? But you snatch the engine out of one car, and the other car is going to push it down the road 100 miles an hour. Hope you understand, bro. This is a beautiful thing. Once you understand the math of it, this is a beautiful day, brothers and sisters, to understand this math, because you're going to go through it with light. But everybody's going through a dark, a time of unprecedented trouble. A time of unprecedented trouble, and you're going through it with light. They're going through a darkness. So how great you think that darkness is going to be when you have no idea what's going on and what to do about it? And now you got the light, and you know what's going on. Now that, but you know how to get, you got a ticket to get the hell out of here, and you know where to go to get the train. They have no idea about anything. Like I said, external pressure there, and no power. So here it gets to the misuse of internal energy. So you got internal energy, right? See? And so you can gain power by misusing internal energy. You don't use all the energy you need that's required. So what you do is that you generate power. You're not generating power here. So now you have energy to do a lot of external things because you're not using the energy that you need to maintain yourself. No power. But now you got energy to go out there and watch Jay-Z. You got energy to go out here, watch Kanye. You got energy to go out here, party and all that kind of stuff while eating garbage, pork, chitlins, drinking, smoking. See what I'm saying? So you're destroying yourself so you can have energy. You don't have no power. You got energy though. You're doing all these things. So then you wonder why you got diabetes, you die early, you got high blood pressure, all these different things. Because, hey, you ever heard of how to live? Why do you think Master Muhammad gave you that? So you can maintain, control your internal energy. Because you know that's the problem that we had at that time. He gave us exactly what we needed. Because at that time, we're still suffering energy deprivation. And the main thing, the knowledge we need right then is how to use the energy that we did have effectively to maintain ourselves until we got to the point where we would, because we were soon to start regaining power. We was not far from the point. It was almost out of energy deprivation, so it was coming close to the point we would have external energy. So you had to live long enough to get there. That's what how to live was all about. But brothers and sisters, you don't understand it. Oh, I don't want to miss that stuff. Okay, well, keep on destroying yourself. It's your body. It's that misuse of internal energy. See? Okay, brothers and sisters. So I think I explained everything pretty much, right? Internal energy, external energy, power. How you get it? So now we at the point where we have external energy. We start, in other words, now we have it. In 1948 was at the point where we had enough energy to maintain ourselves. No external energy yet. That's if you live the life that Elijah Muhammad was telling you. So now, right, 50 years, no, I say every 50 years, right? So now you have energy. It says momentous in the heavens and the earth, but it comes above the sun. It means it saturates the earth, and the earth has to convert to form that we can use. Now you have energy for external so that you can convert to power. But you need the angel, you have to follow the instructions to do it, to convert into power. So you got the demons, right? They're out here telling you, no, man, you got to worry about that. You ain't got to worry about this. You ain't got to worry about that. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. Just do this. Because they're trying to keep you from gaining your power. Because once you gain your power, they're through. And the angel is there to show you How to gain your power? The 5 fundamental pillars of Islam, they come together. Because like I said, you have to have power. You have to have direction also. You can have a car with a power engine, but you need direction. You need a steering wheel. You need GPS. That's what an engine does for you. But the 5 fundamental pillars of Islam, that's your engine. Mathematical ones. And that's the reason why our people are going to be lost, because now they have the ability, and that's the whole trick of the devil, to keep them from understanding that. So therefore, they're not going to have the power enough to escape, right, this gravitational vortex that the devil has created, because this reality is a gravitational field that attracts you, right? Oh, I want American dream, the cross, money, free love, all that kind of stuff. See, you think that's just they know that's aspects of this gravitational field, this gravitational vortex that your mind better be strong enough to overcome, so you can ascend into the next reality. And it says millions of people are not going to, because you have to have, in order to see the energy, you need the energy to do it. See? First, then you have to have the power, so you have direction how to use that energy. Not people. That's why most people are going to be lost for lack of knowledge, because they have it, but people are tricking you to make you think otherwise, misuse it. So therefore, you're going to be lost and destroyed in your ignorance. And right now, you have the power to take over the planet. If you adopt the angel, right, and start following the 5 fundamental pillars of Islam, you will, like the Master Muhammad says, you'll be in heaven overnight. Overnight, that's not fast. Speed of light. But you got 17 million demons, nearly 300 million devils working night and day, 24/7, to make sure you never do that. Make sure you never do that. See? Read the story about Balaam and Balak. See, Balaam represents Master Prophet Muhammad. Then Balak, when he came to tell us, Balak intercepted him. That's Satan. He says, wait a minute, hold on. Don't go tell those people. Don't go teach those people. Teach us. See? What it says in Revelation, it says, got them to try to get Balaam to teach us to eat poison food and do all kinds of bad. In other words, work against ourselves, because that's what he's telling you now. Oh, embrace homosexuality. Eat pork, drink, smoke. Because they know if you do those things, you're never going to gain power. You're going to have energy, but and you're going to give the energy to them, which they're going to use against you. That's why he's telling you to do that. That's why they promote now children to do that. All these so-called demons, they're out there. They're not so-called demons. They're out there spreading all this garbage. Jay-Z and all them, they're all demons. They're in Master's house. And they you think that's cool. All this stuff, they got men walking around with slippers on. Grown men walking with slippers on, pants hanging down, hair braided. They think that's cool. And they don't know. They told these rappers to put that style there because cops got tired of race chasing your ass. They know you ain't running too fast with slippers on and your pants hanging down. They know that. Got tats on so they can identify you easily. They're all braided. So you look like a punk. And you buying all that. And you have no power. And you talking about Democratic, they don't give you no power. You don't have any power because you don't know how to transform your energy into power. Just like a person got money but they don't know how to invest it, so therefore they broke before long because they don't know how to use it. So you got energy but you don't know how to use it. And we're trying to teach you how to use it. I don't hear that. Okay, well, if your mind is not strong enough to overcome this gravitational vortex, we don't want you. Because that means you're going to be the hindrance to us in the hereafter. It says 144,000 would be wise enough to overcome. That's enough. 144,000, that's enough. Because that's why Dr. Shabazz sets this whole thing up. That's why he sets the whole thing up, because this was the last trial. Because we want to make sure those that get into the hereafter are pure gold and pure silver. That their minds is greater than this gravitational vortex, the greatest gravitational vortex ever in history, right? See? Therefore, nothing can bring you down after that. Because you have to overcome that to get to the hereafter. All this religion, all this stuff that doesn't make any sense. No, we don't want you. And you have to prove, it's like a test. You have to take this mental test to find out whether you can pass to the next level. And if you can overcome Davies' gravitational vortex, then you're going to be lost. You're going to be drowned with them. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.